US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo recently visited his friends in Qatar, as the United States is clearly anxious about the ongoing blockade against the small Gulf state, which is now in its 19th month. A blockade which is being led by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt. Qatar stands accused of supporting terrorists and are seen as being too friendly with the Iranian regime. Pompeo also visited the Saudi kingdom to talk about the whole Jamal Khashoggi mess, the journalist who was brutally killed in a Turkish embassy, allegedly on the orders of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The Americans want their allies in the region to refocus on the fight against Iran and put this Qatar blockade thing in the rear-view mirror. But then again, back when this blockade started, the US seemed keen on supporting it, so mixed signals. Or a change in White House policy? Both the US and the Saudis fear Iran becoming too influential in the Middle East. The House of Saud especially anxious. You can't fully or correctly understand what is happening in Yemen right now without an understanding of the bitter Saudi Arabia versus Iran rivalry, which is fueled by sectarian and ethnic hatreds. Some have been talking about a potential big falling out diplomatically between the West and the Saudi government for a while now. But Donald Trump seems very keen to continue this special relationship. The big players look at a map of the world and they see a chessboard, they see enemies and allies, and they see possible military victories just over the horizon. Unfortunately, many egotistical, fanatical and short-sighted men hold power in this world. That has to change. Meanwhile, in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, Palestinians are faced with aid from the World Food Programme being either stopped or reduced. Somewhere between 20 and 30,000 Palestinians are no longer getting aid via the UN in the West Bank since the start of this calendar year, and another 160,000 have had their aid reduced by about 1/5. Donations have apparently been sliding for a few years now, but it's the US government having the biggest effect, I suspect. Trump has cut some $500 million worth of aid to the Palestinians, which isn't surprising. It is the most vulnerable people who will suffer because of these cuts. Yeah. Israel knows that it has a trusted ally in the demagogic leader of the free world. Speaking of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu confirmed an attack in the Syrian capital Damascus on what he says were warehouses in the international airport containing Iranian weapons. Israel itself admits that it has carried out over 200 missile attacks in Syria in just the last 2 years. This is supposedly aimed at stopping Iran from firmly establishing itself in Syria. How well the Iranians are doing, I don't know. How well the Israeli campaign against Iran in the country is going, couldn't tell you either. What I do know is that Russia isn't at all happy with Israel's policy of launching missiles at targets inside Syria. Agendas and schemes being pushed by various players at the expense of common decency and human life. More than 1 million Syrian refugees live in neighbouring Lebanon in makeshift settlements, in tents, basically, in real poverty. Does Bashar al-Assad really care about the plight of his own people? Does Vladimir Putin care about displaced or dead Syrians? Do you care?